Hello folks, and today we're doing a bit of a random video. I'm looking at some cars that I just think offer good value for money that are less than 5 years old. They're all advertised as Euro 6 compliant, so they should be fine for things like ULEZ and clean air zones and all that kind of jazz. It's a mixture of petrol and diesel cars in this one, no electrics because we've covered those in other videos. And the only real rules I've applied to this are that all the cars here have got less than 60,000 miles on the clock, and I consider them to be cars that are going to be reasonably reliable if looked after, won't cost you the earth to run, and at the moment at least are offering a bit of value. I'm recording this, by the way, in January 2024, just in case you're watching this in 10 years time. So the first one we've got here is by far the most sensible in this video. It's not an exciting car, but it is a Dacia Sandero 1 litre essential hatchback petrol manual, 75 horsepower in this one, or 75 PS. We are shopping in the bargain basement here. Insurance group 5, 180 quid a year tax. 0 to 62 in 15.1 seconds, so it's not rapid, is it? This is not a driving experience, folks. This is a form of transport. This gets you from A to B and does so for £5,000, £5,100. This was initially up at 5,400, went up for sale on Christmas Day, strangely. They've knocked 300 quid off it now. I dare say £5,000 in cash will take that car away. Going up price bands reasonably significantly now. We've got to say at Leon, these are not difficult to find, and I think they're a little bit of an unsung hero. They often sort of play second fiddle to the Golf, and I think people sometimes forget they exist, but they're really good cars. This one's the 2 litre TSI FR, which is like their R-line trim or their S-line trim, their M Sport. It's their top sort of sporty level of trim. It's got the DSG automatic. I've spoken about those automatic gearboxes before, but you need to do a series of checks before you buy one to make sure everything's functioning properly. When they are working properly, I think they're one of the best automatic gearboxes around for the driver experience. When they're not working properly, it could cost you anything from a few hundred quid to maybe 1,500 quid for a refurbished unit. So there are far worse gearboxes to live with than a DSG. This one's a 2019 model, 11.5 grand, 60,000 miles on the clock. This one has got a bit of performance to it. So 0 to 62, 7.2 seconds, which is not too shabby at all. Insurance group 24, 180 quid a year on the tax. Next we've got great ones. Toyota Corolla 2 litre VVTH XL CVT. Again, automatics. A CVT, you either love them or hate them, I guess. The one thing they are, in certainly the Toyotas, are very reliable, but you won't get the same sort of engaging driving experience as you would get with that Seat Leon. However, very reliable cars, the Corollas. And the only thing really negative I could say about one of these is the infotainment system's pants, but you can swap it out. You know, it looks like something from a Nokia phone in about 2003, and it's not particularly responsive, not particularly user-friendly, but it's not the end of the world. Insurance group 21 on that, and 170 quid a year on the tax, and you've got 0 to 60 times 7.6 seconds, so it's not hanging about, and they are nice cars to drive, really. It's only really if you're someone that likes to race away from the traffic lights and stuff that gearbox gets a bit and it will get on your nerves. But 39,000 miles on that car, I mean, that's something you could sort of buy and almost forget about. You know, do your servicing on it as you would with any car, but hopefully that one's not going to let you down. Next, we've got a 2019 BMW 3 Series Touring. So this is the estate car, and this is the 330D Sport Touring Diesel automatic Euro 6, 265 PS. Now, this car is probably all the family car that most people will ever need. They're bloody brilliant. The one thing you have to do is keep on top of the oil changes, because there are 1 or 2 issues with these cars if they're not well looked after. And of course, it's also a diesel, it means it's got DPF. So don't consider buying one of these if most of your journeys are short ones. You know, diesels with DPFs are meant to be driven distance, and meant to have those longer drives more than they are short drives. I mean, if your commute to work every day is 45 minutes down the motorway, this is brilliant. If it's 5 minutes, this is rubbish. Simplifying things there, but That's the general rule. These are great, right? Because you're looking at 180 quid a year tax, insurance group 38. So insurance group is reasonably high, but not silly. But look at the performance, 5.6 seconds to 62 and 45 mpg. I mean, that's really quite impressive. You can also look at the 335, basically the same engine with a different level of tune on it. But they're great cars, absolutely acres of space. Obviously, spare parts are easy to come by because there are lots of BMW 3 Series around. So you could do a lot worse than one of those. Just double check the service history. If you get one of these, make sure it's been serviced properly and on time. And obviously you can do that by ringing the garage and verifying some of those stamps, because as we know from other videos I've done, it's very easy to forge a service history book and indeed the trip computer on the car. So don't take that as gospel. Receipts are always nice to see as well. But you get one of those well maintained, keep it well maintained, and it will serve you handsomely. Of course, another check to do is your VCheck if ever you're looking to buy a used car. The basic check is £3. The top check is a tenner. I strongly suggest you go with the one that's a tenner because you get all of this. As we know, cars on AutoTrader will show as HPI clear. Dealers will list them as HPI clear. That only tells you half the story. It really does. On VCheck, you'll be able to see if there's outstanding finance on the car, if the car's been reported as stolen, but most importantly, you'll see the salvage history. So if it's been through a salvage auction, which could be an unrecorded write-off because insurers are not obliged to register write-offs on the 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙉𝙆𝙎 database, so it can legally pass through an HPI check completely clear, still be a write-off, and actually you're buying a car that did used to look like that and has now been all repaired. Nothing necessarily wrong with buying a Cat S or a Cat N if you find yourself a decent one. However, you want to be paying significantly less for it if you are getting one. And an unrecorded write-off, you're paying the same money because it's HPI clear, you're paying the same money. I personally wouldn't want to buy this car that's in these photos. That's had too much of a knock for my liking. I would walk away from that one. I could unwittingly buy that at full retail price if I just relied on the HPI check. Loads of other useful stuff there. You can see the mileage on a year-by-year basis. So if suddenly it went down 1 year or 1 year it did 3 miles, well, you know, that's a little red flag for you. And you can also see the MOT history, advisories, all that kind of stuff. So it's worth its weight in gold, folks. Link in the video description. It does help support the channel. Next, we've got the Volvo S90. This one's the T4, which is the petrol. There are also loads of diesels around for these. But again, remember that use thing. How you use the car should really help you decide which one you go for. This is a 2020 Volvo S90 for 16 grand. Now, these things are lovely. I mean, it's a land barge of a car. It's huge. But you just float along the road in it. Some of the previous generation of Volvos were starting to feel a little bit long in the tooth. This one doesn't. I think it's a lovely thing. As you can see, quite a conservative interior, but nice and refined. Nice quiet place to travel. 60,000 miles on this one. As I said, it is the petrol, Euro 6, as we said at the start of this video. Insurance group 33, 180 quid a year to tax and 37 mpg. And the 0 to 60 on it is 7.5 seconds. So it's no slouch and a good motorway cruiser. This one went on the market on the 25th of October at 17.5 grand. They've knocked 1,500 quid off it, so it's currently sitting at 1,600. If I had that sitting on my forecourt and I were a car dealer, I'd be looking to get rid of that now. So you may even find there's a little bit more wiggle room on that price. Sticking with Volvo, we've got the XC40. Now, I'm not a massive fan of the petrol engines in these, the small petrol engines anyway. That's the one you get in the T3. I think it's a little 1.53 cylinder turbo, but this one's the D3, which is the 2-litre diesel. It's the lower powered version of it. I think it's about 150 horsepower from memory. 148 horsepower, 9.5 seconds to 62. Insurance group 22, 180 quid a year to tax and 51 mpg. I used to have one of these as a company car. Generally very, very good car. Very well screwed together. It's got a Volvo badge on it, which sort of, you know, gives you a little bit of confidence, doesn't it? I had the automatic actually, which was really nice. This one, however, is the manual. 42,000 miles, 2019 car. Again, I'd want full service history with that, but I want full service history with everything, something like that. 16.5 grand. Next, we've got the full Galaxy. This one's the 2-litre Eco Blue, which is the diesel, 18,300 quid, 48,000 miles on it, full service history. I must admit, I don't know tons about the petrol versions of these because there are so few of them around. They're nearly all diesels. The thing to look out for on this is that it's never been a taxi. And in that VCheck report, one of the things you'll get is an ex-taxi check, because loads of these were used for private hire. And obviously, if it has been used for private hire and it's only got 48,000 miles on it, that's a little bit fishy. So you'd have to think that it might have had the clock wound back. I think that's the biggest danger in buying a Galaxy, is that it's had the clock wound back, because so many of them are used in private hire cars. This is the bigger brother to the S-Max, but it's got far fewer issues than the S-Max generally. They are fairly reliable things. Keep them well serviced. If you get the automatic, I believe it's a proper automatic gearbox in the Galaxy, like a torque converter, as opposed to the normal 4 dual clutch thing, which is toilet, the power shift. Not a bad car to go for. It's also epically large. So it feels a bit van-like when you're driving, but the space in it is huge. Obviously, you've got 7 seats, but with the back row of seats down, you've basically got a 5-seat vehicle with almost a small van's worth of space in the back. Insurance group 20, 180 quid a year tax and 45 mpg. And performance wise, you're looking at basically 11 seconds to 62 in this one and 148 horsepower. So you will find quite a few of these on the market. Historically, I think they've lost quite a lot of value in the first 2 or 3 years, as most cars do, but then they tend to hold their value reasonably well. But there is a Galaxy around for any budget, but just beware of the ones that are a little bit frilly around the edges. You know, get yourself a nice one and keep it well looked after. Next, we've got the Audi Q5s, the 2-litre TFSI S-Line S-Tronic Quattro. You have to make sure this has been properly serviced, and I say that about every car, but no more so than this one, because the Quattro system, if that goes wrong, can be massively costly. The S-Tronic is a DSG gearbox, so you go through all the normal checks that you would with a DSG with the S-Tronic. Should be fine on a car of this age, but you want to make sure it's been looked after. And that 2-litre petrol engine in this is an absolute peach. I love it. As long as that's been serviced, no issues to my knowledge. 59,500 miles on this one. Insurance group 32, 180 quid a year on tax. And your average MPG is 40. You get really good MPG with these on a run, and it's really a bit poo around town. So much so, I would say you might get late 20s around town and up to 50 on a run. I personally think the actual build quality of interiors on Audis has gone downhill in recent years. And although the newer Audis look more impressive from the outside in, when you actually get in and start poking around, I think this generation of Audi is much better built than the current ones, personally. Certainly from the examples I've seen, and these are really nicely screwed together interiors. All in all, if you want a decent size SUV, I don't think you go far wrong with that one. And then we've got the newest car here. It's the Honda Civic, the newest generation of Honda Civic. I think I said it was my car of the year of 2022. And I absolutely loved it. I reviewed this car on my channel, and I've reviewed another one last year on the Men and Motors channel, and almost couldn't control myself in those reviews because I like this car so much. The drive of the thing is excellent. Don't be put off by the fact it says it's got a CVT, because it hasn't. It's quite a complex thing, but there's essentially no gearbox in it. There's something called an eCVT, which is not actually a gearbox. They do use some sort of synthesis in the car. You have absolutely no idea that gears are not being changed, but there is no gearbox. It feels just like you're driving perhaps a car with a DSG. It feels like an engaging drive. However, there aren't any gears actually moving anywhere, which is a good thing, folks. It's a good thing. The chassis is awesome. The drive of it is awesome. It's really economical to run, and it's very well screwed together. Decent infotainment system. You can't really go wrong with this car. I think they'll be incredibly reliable. Honestly, I think a real unsung hero. This one's got 11,700 miles on it. It's 27 grand nearly. It went up for 28 grand just a week ago, actually, well, 10 days ago. So it's come down 1,200 quid already. New, I guess this would have been 35, 36 grand off the top of my head. I could be wrong, so look that up. But It's lost about 10 grand in just over a year and 11,500 miles on it. And to me, that looks like a great time to get hold of it. Insurance group 28, 170 quid a year tax, 56 mpg, 0 to 62 in 7.9 seconds. Brilliant car. And if you doubt me, all I'll say to you is go and test drive one and then come back to me and say you were right. Folks, finally, I want to tell you about my mate Mark. I've just done a little bit of business coaching with him. Obviously, that's my day job, 𝑢Define.co.uk. Go and check it out. But he does headlight restoration, but he doesn't do normal headlight restoration. He does fantastic headlight restoration, okay? Now, there are lots of people out there that do this, but very few have got Mark's level of passion for it, and the results he gets are simply phenomenal. People spraying WD-40 and toothpaste and you know what on their headlights are not doing them a great deal of good, in fairness. And you can buy all these kits from Halfords and things that will improve the way things look sometimes, but sometimes they're actually helping to degrade the thing even worse. What Mark does is full restoration. A, it will look absolute factory again when he's finished, and B, it will last for a long time. You're not going to need to repeat this process in 10 minutes. There are lots of cars out there that are famed for having sort of headlight issues, and quite a lot of them, if you want a replacement headlight, they're incredibly expensive. I mean, if you've looked at the price of a headlight on a Porsche, for example, you will drop to your knees and cry. Mark's prices are really reasonable. He's based down in Kent. Obviously, he's only covering a certain part of the country, but I'm going to pop a link to Mark's website in the video description. So if you're in the Kent area and your headlights need a little bit of love and attention, I strongly recommend you go and check out Marked Improvement Headlight Restoration. That's completely unpaid. He doesn't even know I'm doing this, to be honest. So there you go. I just wanted to put it out there because I know how much effort the guy puts into getting a fantastic job done. He's got something like 130 Google reviews as well, and the average is 5 stars. I don't know how often you've seen someone with that many reviews that's got an average of 5 stars, but he has. Thanks for watching, folks. Please subscribe. Please give the video a thumbs up, and I'll catch you on the next one.